Chapter 826. Interviewing Happy. The weather wasn't bad on Friday, and Excellent Era gave their players the day off, allowing them to rest. This was a tradition that had been around since the beginning of the Pro League. The day after a match was a day for rest, but now that they were participants in the Challenger League, Friday, their original match day, had become a holiday. Those who were used to the Pro League felt a little unused to this change. It wasn't just the players, but even the manager, Kui Lee, felt a little lost when waking up to a day where he had no match to prepare for. Uncertain of he should do, Kui Lee eventually decided to go for a walk. Kui Lee was something of a workaholic. He was married to no one but his work, so he more or less lived in the club. Stepping out of the club this morning, the first thing that he saw was Happy on the opposite side of the road. Instantly, his mood went from bad to worse. This really wasn't a good season. Kui Lee couldn't help but lament. A powerhouse like Excellent Era had to fight in the Challenger League this year. Even if they won, there wasn't anything to celebrate since it was expected, right? Therefore, there would be nothing happening this season that Excellent Era could be proud of. Kui Lee stood outside Excellent Era with his hands on his hips, thinking about where he should go. Suddenly, a moped passed by precariously, and came to a stop after some struggle. The rider scratched his head awkwardly and greeted Kui Lee. "Morning, Manager Kui." Kui Lee cheered up a bit upon realizing that he recognized the boy on the bike. Chong Xian, an intern from Esports Home that had been sent here to H-City just last year. He had come along to many interviews with Excellent Era. Now that a year had gone by, he should be a full member, but his electric bike riding skills still had much to improve. Kui Lee silently thanked the fact that he had yet to cross the road, otherwise it was completely possible that he would be under those wheels at this moment. Hey, little Chong, Kui Lee laughed as he teased the other, it seems like, compared to your riding skills, your biking skills are still in need of a lot of improvement. Chong Xian scratched his head, smiling in embarrassment. Where are you heading off to, so early in the morning? Kui Lee asked. To do an interview, Chong Xian replied honestly. Hearing this, Kui Lee lit up. As the club manager, what he needed to consider wasn't just the results of their matches, he had to take care of the functioning of the club as a whole. With Excellent Era out of the main competition, the attention they received this year was at an all-time low. Offers for sponsorships and ads were more or less stagnant. They didn't care about what a glorious history you had, after all. If you weren't going to be in the public eye this season, then there was no point in making a big investment. Excellent Era's situation wasn't too bad, all things considered, since the public still had expectations for them. Some sponsors didn't pull away immediately, but talked with them about future plans. How they would be executed had to wait until Excellent Era returned to the Pro League. If Excellent Era could gain attention from the media and appear in public eye more, it would definitely benefit them from the economic perspective Kui Lee stood in, as the manager. More attention like this could give sponsors more confidence in Excellent Era. Kui Lee's smile didn't shift and he prepared to welcome Chong Xian, but Chong Xian had already gotten back onto his bike, waving at Kui Lee and saying, "I won't take up any more of your time, Manager Kui, bye." Kui Lee's smile froze on his face, hurriedly stifling the words on the tip of his tongue. His confusion slipping onto his face. This brat wasn't going to interview Excellent Era? It was lucky that he hadn't said anything yet, otherwise that would be really awkward. Kui Lee knew that though Glory was the hottest topic in esports, there were other games as well. Esports Home was a comprehensive esports media, so they also reported happenings in these other games, but since Glory was the main focus, the interview station in City H was placed close to the only club in City H, Excellent Era. Was Chong Xian going to interview teams from other games? That's what Kui Lee thought, until Chong Xian's bike started to move, wobbling. He had a bad feeling. Around here, there were no other pro teams from other games. The electric bike wasn't that good of a tool for traveling such distances, right? Then if Chong Xian wasn't going to interview Excellent Era, he was going to. As he thought of this, Chong Xian's bike finally got properly onto the road, turning and heading directly for Happy Internet Cafe. To interview Happy. In this moment, Kui Lee's heart was filled with all sorts of emotions that couldn't be put into words, standing stunned on the side of the road. Chong Xian rode his electric bike and crossed the road unevenly and then rode onto the pavement. He seemed to want to stop in front of the door of Happy, but his terrible biking skills couldn't handle even that. The bike came to a sudden stop half inside the internet cafe. Kui Li vaguely heard screams coming from the internet cafe. They must have been startled by an electric bike charging inside. Then he saw Chang Xian hurriedly jump off the bike, scratching his head again in embarrassment and quickly backing the bike up to be parked properly. Then he rushed into Happy Internet Cafe. Happy. Though Kui Li was displeased, he had to admit that defeating Team Everlasting was quite a feat for Happy, and would make people curious about them. Getting interviewed wasn't entirely unexpected, but watching one of the workers from the team working specifically for Excellent Era go to interview their enemy made Kui Li's heart twist. Out of sight, out of mind. Kui Li thought furiously, whirling in the other direction. Though it was out of sight, his thoughts still lingered on it. What kind of article would be written on Happy? Happy Internet Cafe. Chang Xian had rode his bike straight into the internet cafe, almost startling the employee into calling the police. He quickly explained what happened and why he was here. The employee manning the counter hurriedly called his boss after hearing Chang Xian's words. Chen Guo now often lived at the rented house in the compound. Last night, they celebrated their victory over the ex-pro Team Everlasting, and now in the morning Chen Guo got a call from the internet cafe. At first she thought something had happened, but actually someone was here to interview them, and they were someone from esports home too. Chen Guo was shocked. 1 second, Chen Guo quickly said before turning to tell Yishu to go. Esports home wants to interview us? Not bad, it's a good chance to raise our fame. Yishu nodded in approval at her words. So, we should accept? Chen Guo asked. No reason not to, Yishu said. But what about you? Chen Guo knew, of course, that Yishu never accepted interviews, not even the mandatory press conferences after matches. The Alliance wouldn't ban you from playing if you broke these rules, but you would get fined. But Yishu never cared. If he was fined, then he'd pay the fine and still not go. They came to an understanding in the end. Yishu was more clear about the fines from the Alliance than even his own balance, making sure to pay them every month. The Alliance didn't know whether to laugh or cry at this stubborn guy. In the end, the Alliance even felt a bit sorry for fining him all the time, but the rules were there. If they changed them, how would they face those who adhered to them? So in the beginning there was some debate, but in the end it was just so. One side would pay the fines and the other wouldn't say anything about his actions. Me? They wouldn't know who I am anyways, right? Yishu said. So you're just going to say you're Yishu? Chen Guo questioned. Yup, Yishu nodded. Then, you're going to accept the interview? Chen Guo asked. It doesn't matter, Yishu smiled, they won't write that much anyways. Why won't they write much? Chen Guo was a bit disappointed. Because I don't have time left, Yishu said. Chen Guo hadn't thought that would be what he meant and didn't know how to respond. When Yishu avoided the media, it was first because he was afraid his parents would find him after he ran away from home, and force him to go back. Later on, though he didn't need to hide from his family, it became a habit. Yishu had thought he would be able to use his brother's ID to play until he had to retire. He never thought that something like this would happen before then. He regained his identity as Yishu, and when he returned he wasn't planning on using Yishu's name any longer. After experiencing all that once, he was too lazy to go over it again. Chen Guo respected Yishu's wishes and simply picked up the phone, telling the guy at the internet cafe to tell the reporter to come over. Shouldn't you ask the others if they're okay with being interviewed first? Yishu asked. Oh yeah, you're right. Chen Guo immediately realized that was something she should probably do after hearing Yishu ask. And, as they exchanged a glance, they knew they were thinking the same thing. After living in the internet cafe for so long, Chen Guo had never poked into Tangru's background, but anyone would realize that she definitely wasn't someone who had to work in an internet cafe to keep herself afloat. With her beauty, her composure, a few pictures would earn a lot. Tangru's background definitely wasn't simple, so maybe she wouldn't want to be exposed to the public? Chapter 827. All rather impressive. Yishu and Chen Guo had thought of Tangru, but reality was very different from their expectations. Hearing that there would be a reporter coming to interview them, Tangru had no intention of avoiding it. Instead, it was Wen Yi who shook his head furiously at the news. Everyone curiously inquired as to why and was struck speechless by his response. This guy hadn't gone to his school to check in since school had started. It would be fine if he was inconspicuous about it, but if he went and accepted an interview and appeared on news, it allowed his school to know that he had skipped to play games. They would definitely have a hard time accepting that. Okay then, do as you wish, little N. Everyone else should wait here for a while, the reporter is coming soon, Chen Guo ordered before going outside to welcome the reporter. Not long after, Chen Guo came back, but she was limping as she pushed open the door and came inside. Everyone stared in shock, Tang Ru running up to help her. What happened? I'm very sorry about that. My biking skills are not the best. Not far behind Chen Guo was a young man, scratching his head in embarrassment as he walked in timidly. After getting the address that Team Happy was at from the internet cafe, he had rushed over. Chen Guo had, of course, asked after what Chang Xian was like so she could take him up from downstairs. Seeing the electric bike, she more or less knew that this was who she was waiting for. She had been walking into the road to greet him, but didn't think there could be someone so terrible at biking. Seeing someone walk out, Chang Xian had anxiously yelled out a warning, but even as one of them tried to dodge and the other tried to swerve, Chen Guo had still gotten hit. This is little Chang from esports home. Chen Guo was still in quite a bit of pain. But she still gritted her teeth and introduced Chang Xian to everyone. Boss Chen. I'm really sorry, are you sure you're okay? Should we go to the hospital first? Chang Xian chattered nervously at the side. Though Chen Guo had been hit by Chang Xian's bike, they hadn't wasted any time in introducing themselves to each other. I'm fine, let me introduce you first, Chen Guo said. I think you should sit down first. Tang Ru helped Chen Guo make her way over to the sofa, so Chen Guo went ahead and introduced her first. This is Tang Ru, the player behind the battle mage Soft Mist. Ah, Chang Xian expressed in surprise. He had, of course, done some research before coming to conduct an interview. The more he understood, the more topics he could bring up. And in the match against Everlasting yesterday, she had defeated 2 players in the group arena. She was definitely the most famous player in Team Happy. Now, she had turned out to be a beautiful woman in real life as well. Did he really need to write anything? Just a few photos were probably enough to create waves. And Boss Chen was also a beauty. He was pretty sure the Glory Circle had yet to have such a beautiful lady as a boss. He had, of course, also brought his camera to this interview. It was currently held in his hand, but Tang Ru was busy taking care of Chen Guo, who he had unfortunately injured. He wasn't shameless enough to ask them for a few photos first. By then, Chen Guo was already introducing the next person. This is Chao Yifan. Chen Guo was just introducing them by who she saw first. Little Chao was originally from Team Tiny Herb. After his contract expired, he came over. He plays the Ghostblade, 1-inch Ash. What? Chang Xian, who had been waiting for a chance to take pictures of the 2 attractive ladies, suddenly heard Chen Guo introducing the next person. He was instantly thunderstruck. Team Tiny Herb. A member from a team that had been 2-time champions had joined Team Happy? What was this? Chang Xian stared in shock. Information on 1-inch Ash was rare. He only knew that it was an account for the 10th server and the second under max level character to reach the heavenly domain in the 10th server, after Lord Grimm. He hadn't appeared much during the time where Happy was accepting challengers, but in yesterday's match against Everlasting, he had won them their first point, giving a calm and mature impression. He hadn't thought this person would be from the Pro League, and Tiny Herb too. Chang Xian didn't hide the shock on his face as he gazed at Chao Yifan. Chao Yifan became nervous with all the staring. He had been someone without presence in Team Tiny Herb, and had never had the chance to be interviewed. Now, seeing Chang Xian's shocked gaze, Chao Yifan was also a little startled. He stuttered for a while before suddenly blurting out, I'll go pour some water, and fleeing. That's Wei Chen, maybe you've heard of him. Chen Guo was still making introductions. He's currently our warlock, Windward Formation. Wei Chen. Chang Xian considered this name, feeling a little lost. It was completely unfamiliar to him, but Windward Formation was definitely someone who had ability. However, this guy? Chang Xian looked at Wei Chen, taking in the stubble that hinted at his comparatively old age. Wasn't he a little too old? Ha ha ha, young people these days wouldn't have heard of me. Wei Chen, of course, wouldn't nervously run away like Chao Yifan. Seeing that Chang Xian didn't recognize him, he shamelessly started to introduce himself. The former captain of Team Blue Rain and the original owner of Swaksar, that's me. Hearing this, Chang Xian jumped once again. He might not know who Wei Chen was, but the captain of Team Blue Rain, the owner of Swaksar, he understood what these two identities meant. This middle-aged man was actually that impressive a character? Ha ha ha, calm down, kid, don't get so nervous upon hearing someone's reputation. Look at you, how are you going to interview us like this? Wei Chen shamelessly started lecturing. Now it was Chang Xian who was stuttering like Chow Yifan. It was a good thing that Chen Guo had started introducing the next person already. This is Bao Rongxing, we all call him Steamed Bun, he's the brawler Steamed Bun Invasion. Chang Xian listened with both ears perked, but didn't hear anything after owner. Chang Xian hastily ran over the introduction in his head again. It seemed to be just as he had heard. That's weird. Something seemed to be lacking. Did this Steamed Bun have no impressive sort of background? With there being beauties and ex-Team Tiny Herb members and Team Blue Rain captains, Chang Xian immediately expected each of the members of Happy to have some sort of impressive background. Yet Steamed Bun seemed to be a normal person, making Chang Xian a little disoriented. As he gazed at Steamed Bun, he heard Steamed Bun speak. Good thing that you seem like a honest little reporter, otherwise I would have your leg for injuring the boss. Holy crap. Chang Zhan felt his legs turn to jelly. What kind of person was this? What kind of response was that? Seeing Steamed Bun seriously considering his leg, Chang Xian couldn't take it as a joke. He wouldn't really lose a leg upon leaving, would he? Don't mess around, Steamed Bun. Then, a guy with a cigarette in his mouth told Steamed Bun off. Chang Xian looked over and Chen Guo was already introducing him. This is our captain, Yi Shu, the player behind Lord Grimm. Yi Shu. Chang Xian had listened carefully. It was Shu not Chu. And, as a member of Esports Home, he knew for certain that in the registered players for Team Happy, Lord Grimm's player was definitely not Yi Chu, but many people were suspicious that even if Yi Chu hadn't registered, he was still hiding in Team Happy, playing for them, and were therefore suspicious of who was the player behind Lord Grimm. But now, this player was introduced to him just like that, and as the captain, too. Chang Xian suddenly didn't dare suspect his identity. There's also a cleric, Little Cold Hands, but he's busy today, Chen Guo continued. Chang Xian nodded, going over the names and faces of each person he had been introduced to so far, but as he counted the people present, he suddenly realized there was one extra. This person kept his distance from everyone else, leaning against the wall stoically and watching on. This person, was he the legendary god Yi Chu? Chang Xian thought he had definitely managed to make a right guess, but saw how Chen Guo seemed to have no intentions of introducing him, but this was God Yi Chu. That topic far outstripped anything like beautiful ladies, or Tiny Herb members or Blue Rain captains. In the media circle, nobody had managed to interview him except for Cao Guang. And even for Cao Guang, the interviews had been done over QQ. Now that God Yi Chu was in front of him, he couldn't let go of the opportunity given to him, or else he couldn't be called a reporter. Chang Xian gathered his courage and stepped forwards without any prompting. Excuse me, are you God Yi Chu? Chang Xian greeted this cool guy. In his heart, God Yi Chu, who always refused to be interviewed, was definitely someone who was aloof and proud like this. No, but the other person coldly denied it. Chang Xian was waiting for him to speak again when Chen Guo introduced him as well. This is Mo Fan, Ninja, Deception. He's still considering whether or not he wants to join. Chang Xian startled, disappointed upon knowing that this person wasn't Yi Chu. If Yi Chu was really at Happy but didn't want to come out for an interview, then he probably wouldn't get a chance today. Chang Xian turned his focus back to the others as he thought over this, but the name Chen Guo had given him flashed through his mind and he turned suddenly. Your deception? Mo Fan glackned at him. He wouldn't respond to a useless question like that. You. Give me back my equipment. Then, Chang Xian said something that made everyone a little taken aback. Chapter 828. I once had a friend. Chang Xian wasn't just an esports reporter. He was also a fan of Glory. His work revolved around Glory. Outside of work, he spent most of his free time on Glory too. In the heavenly domain, Chang Xian had a striker account. He was a normal player in the game. As a result, he had suffered under the hands of the most infamous scrap picker in Glory, Deception. When he had prepared for his interview, Chang Xian had seen the name deception among the registered members in Team Happy, but from the time Team Happy accepted challenges to the recent 3 matches in the Challenger League, deception's character had never appeared a single time. Chang Xian thought that he wasn't with Team Happy. Who would have thought that deception really was a part of the team? Suddenly, Chang Xian's grievances towards deception exploded. At that time, he had lost the PK and died. His weapon dropped, and before he could call over his friends to get it back, he saw deception nimbly blend back into the chaotic crowd. After stealing his weapon, he just swaggered off without a second thought. Chang Xian had seen everything clearly from his ghost's view. That Thunder Fist was a weapon that he had spent who knew how much time and effort to obtain, but in just a quick PK, a scrap picker snatched it away. Chang Xian felt so disgusted that he stopped playing for a week. He had thought of taking revenge on deception, but in the vast heavenly domain, finding a single person wasn't something that could be done with just patience and perseverance. Chang Xian persisted for a period of time, before finally giving up out of helplessness. Even though this incident had passed a while ago, seeing deception among the members of Team Happy stirred up his previous anger. However, facing Team Happy, he needed to be professional. It wasn't good to mix his personal emotions with his work. Deception may have been among the list of registered team members, he had never appeared on stage before. It wasn't certain if he was actually in the team or not. The Challenger League rules were truly lax. Chang Xian didn't take the matter of deception to heart up until now. When he heard the sudden introduction and realized that the cold, arrogant guy he thought was Yi Chu actually turned out to be deception, Mo Fan's expression made him extremely annoyed. Impulse overcame him. He suddenly turned around and got into a fighting position in front of Mo Fan. Everyone was astonished. To think such a coincidence would happen. Everyone clicked their tongues in wonder, but no one said anything. Mo Fan no longer had his expressionless face. He was somewhat dumbstruck. He probably wasn't prepared to meet a victim of his in real life. "Who are you?" Mo Fan finally asked. "I'm called Death Reaper. My lightning fist was stolen by you. It seems like you don't remember me," Chang Xian shouted. "Yes," Mo Fan said. "Now that I've helped you remember, return it to me," Chang Xian demanded. In reality, he already had a similar weapon now, but his arguing wasn't over the weapon itself, but rather because of the grief he felt when he watched as his beloved weapon was stolen away. Chang Xian was already fairly calm at this point. After all, it had been a while since that incident had occurred. If this meeting had happened within a week of that incident, he might have had the courage to physically kick him down. "It's gone," Mo Fan replied honestly, but it drove Chang Xian mad. He didn't really want his equipment back. Now that you've been caught in real life by one of your victims, shouldn't you at least have some sort of reaction? What is this? Chang Xian didn't know what else to say. He wasn't seeking his lost equipment, but looking to vent his anger. But now he realized that he didn't know how the other side could make it up to him. Allow himself to get beat up? Chang Xian knew that wasn't realistic. The two were in the middle of their confrontation, when Chao Yifan came back with water. He had no idea what had happened. When he saw Chang Xian over there, he delivered a cup of water to him under the gazes of everyone. "Have some water." A fellow had popped up next to Mo Fan to give him some water. Chang Xian didn't know how to respond. Everyone had their hands to their foreheads. What type of scene was this? "Cough, little Chang, it looks like Mo Fan took your equipment. Today you've gotten a chance to meet us. How about we call it even? Arguing is pointless." Chen Guo revealed the air of a big sister and resolved this matter. In reality, her logic made no sense. However, Chen Guo could see Chang Xian's anger. It wasn't as exaggerated as his reaction had been. It had probably been a long time since that incident, so he wasn't that angry anymore. That scar would still remain in his heart though. Someone more sociable might have even said a few words and ended up friends with him. Unfortunately, Mo Fan wasn't that type of person. He replied with an earnest, "It's gone." Quote, it was as if he were deliberately provoking him. Chang Xian found himself facing such a person and found himself in an awkward spot. Chen Guo gave him a suitable excuse to get over this matter. Chang Xian had been a reporter for a year. He was clever. He immediately understood that this was Chen Guohanding giving him a way out of the awkward situation between him and Mo Fan. He seized the opportunity, taking the water and thanking Chao Yifan, while politely responding to Chen Guo. Chao Yifan had gone to get water for the guest, so he didn't know what had happened. He asked Mo Fan, next to him, "What's going on?" "He's asking me for equipment," Mo Fan replied with a simple answer. Chang Xian almost dropped his cup. He wasn't asking for equipment. He wanted him to return his equipment. A single word made all the difference. Chen Guo didn't have a good impression of Mo Fan either way. Hearing his sharp and concise answer, she wasn't happy. She said to Chang Xian, "Little Chang, how about we get down to business first? You two can talk about your private grievances later. No one will stop you." Oh, sure. Then let's start now? Speaking of which, I don't have a good understanding of you guys. If I say something wrong, please forgive me, Chang Xian spoke methodically. Haha, ask away, Chen Guo said. I really want to know if Yi Chu, Team Excellent Era's former captain, if God Yi Chu is in Team Happy. Chang Xian started off with the question he wanted to know the answer the most. Chen Guo looked at Yi Shu. Everyone looked at Yi Shu. They also wanted to know how he would answer this question. Ah, him. You could say he's here. You could also say he's not here, Yi Shu said. What does that mean? Chang Xian didn't understand. You'll understand when the time comes, Yi Shu smiled. How crafty. Everyone gasped in surprise. So he's dodging the question? The reporter won't pursue it, right? Chang Xian didn't pursue the matter. For an exclusive interview, he needed to pay attention to propriety. If he insisted on asking a question that the other side didn't want to answer, he would bring the mood down. It would be very bad for the following questions. From this point, Chang Xian wasn't experienced enough. If an experienced reporter like Cao Guangqing had come for the interview, the reporter would not have let this opportunity pass. The reporter would not have asked this question first either. Asking this question last would not have been any better. If no valuable answer came, the reporter could just laugh it off and end the interview on a high note. If a juicy hint appeared, the reporter could pursue it relentlessly. Even if it irritated the other side, it at least wouldn't affect the overall interview. Chang Xian had been too impatient and started the interview with this question. He knew he couldn't press too hard in the beginning of the interview, so when Yi Shu dodged the question, he had to let this question go. Afterwards, Chang Xian naturally asked about their thoughts on people denouncing them as being arrogant. Yi Shu smiled again. The following match will prove everything. I can see that you guys are very confident. Do you think that your team is good enough to topple Team Excellent Era? Chang Xian asked. As long as it's a competitive match, anything is possible, Yi Shu smiled. Everyone wanted to boo in their hearts. There was no way Team Excellent Era would be a breeze to fight. If they had to fight against Team Excellent Era right now, Team Happy wasn't confident in their chances. Yi Shu was relying on the hope that the players on Team Happy would have a lot of time to improve. The current them and the future them would be completely different. Yi Shu had said these words to them, but facing an interview, he shut his mouth and didn't mention it. He made it sound like they were very confident in their chances against Team Excellent Era. Could I ask about your unspecialized? From what I know, your unspecialized Lord Grimm possesses a unique silver weapon that can switch forms. Yes. This weapon seems to have been created especially for unspecialized. Could you talk about how you came up with the idea for it? I feel that you must have exerted a lot of effort designing this weapon, right? Everyone looked at Yi Shu. Especially Chen Guo. This question very likely brought out a lot of emotions for Yi Shu. Yi Shu said that youth, who had passed away already, was the most gifted talent he had known. Chen Guo had followed Yi Shu and Su Mucheng to sweep his tomb. She didn't doubt his words. I once had a friend, Chen Guo heard Yi Shu said. Chapter 829. This is enough. I once had a friend. Yi Shu's tone was severe, a smoking cigarette between his fingers. Everyone went silent, thinking that this would be a very unique, heart-touching story. Chang Xian hurriedly moved closer with his recording pen, afraid of missing even a single word. Who was good at glory? Yi Shu said. And then, he died. Yi Shu sighed, flicking ash from his cigarette and looking back at Chang Xian. Having done some interviews and being quite a social person, Chang Xian wasn't unfamiliar with this sort of look, but its appearance now was odd. It said that they were done speaking, and, "It's your turn to speak." Chang Xian doubted his understanding of the look and couldn't help but ask, "That's all?" "That's all," Yi Shu said. Everyone exchanged glances. It sounded like a randomly made-up joke. Was this guy messing with that poor reporter? That was what everyone including Chang Xian thought, but what could he do about it? He couldn't point at the other party and say that it was bullshit. As a reporter, he had to interact with all sorts of people. He had to be able to tolerate them. Chang Xian had been on the edge of his seat with anticipation, and then he heard a story of, "I once had a friend who was good at glory and then he died," his emotions instantly changing to tearful. Chang Xian coughed lightly, self-consciously retracting his recording pen. The story made his brain short-circuit a little, unsure of how to continue. Chang Xian pretended to sip his water, taking the chance to organize his thoughts. It wasn't until there was only a quarter left in his cup that he recovered fully. To play as an unspecialized character, you need a lot of experience in Glory, or so I understand. How long has Big Brother Yi been playing Glory for? Chang Xian asked. 10 years, Yi Shu said. 10 years? Chang Xian was startled by this. A Glory player with 10 years of experience had to have started from when the game was first launched. Even in the pro circle, only Han Wenking and a few other veterans had experience like that. Players who could play a game for 10 years like that were few and far between. What's so impressive about that? I have 10 years of experience, too, Wei Chen cut in. Amazing, Chang Xian continued to exclaim. Wei Chen being the ex-captain of Blue Rain was a great topic, but Chang Xian hadn't known anything about this beforehand, so he hadn't done any research. Ex-Blue Rain captain? Wei Chen. These names were unfamiliar to him. As a worker in media, this wasn't supposed to happen, but Chang Xian had only officially started working last year, so his research wasn't that broad or deep. So when he spoke to Wei Chen, Chang Xian was very careful, afraid that he would anger the other. Senior Wei, I'm a newbie in this line of work, so I haven't read up on your background. Is it okay if you tell me about it? Chang Xian hesitated, but eventually decided to be honest in his curiosity and ask. Ha ha ha, you want the tales of glory of my youth? I could talk about that for days on end. You planning to stay the night? Wei Chen said. No, Chang Xian sweat-dropped. Why don't you pick a few interesting parts to tell? Interesting? Then I would have to mention some big names. Like Yi Chu, you know him, of course, Wei Chen said. Of course, Chang Xian hastily nodded. He was especially happy if these stories could allow him to further understand the other gods, that information was very valuable. Chang Xian was so focused on listening to Wei Chen, that he didn't notice everyone glancing at a certain someone when Yi Chu was mentioned. I'm not just talking behind his back, but Yi Chu really isn't anything great, Wei Chen said. Ah. Hearing this, Chang Xian's hands shook a little. Though pro players were enemies on the field, there were rarely any that would speak about another pro player like that. Chang Xian felt like he had struck gold. You know why he always refuses to appear in public eye? Wei Chen asked. I don't. Chang Xian was excited. This was one of the great mysteries of glory. Would he be the one to solve it after all these years? The reason is, that guy is very despicable, very shameless, very immoral. If he came under public eye, there's no telling if he'll survive the aftermath, Wei Chen said seriously. Chang Xian paused. Why do you say that? Because that's the kind of person he is, Wei Chen said. How do you know this? Chang Xian asked. Thinking back to that time, Wei Chen looked to be in deep thought, his other hand motioning towards Yi Shu, asking for a cigarette. How shameless. Asking for a cigarette from the very person whose name you were blemishing. The representative of justice, Chen Guo, was annoyed, standing up, even with the pain in her leg from the collision. Don't listen to his nonsense, little Chang. Nonsense? Chang Xian stared in disbelief. This poor reporter came all the way over here, so be serious, don't make things up, Chen Guo said. Make things up? Chang Xian cried. He had thought he had gotten valuable information, but it was actually just a made-up story. In comparison to this wretched-looking older dude, Chang Xian was 1000% more willing to believe Chen Guo's words. I was just trying to make the interview contents more interesting. This way he could write a draft that would become the center of attention. We can let the readers try to figure out what's true and what's not, Wei Chen said. Chang Xian turned away decisively. It was better to interview someone other than this old guy. He had to do some more research and formulate some more specific questions. This guy's bullshitting skills were just too damn good. Turning his attention, Chang Xian's gaze fell onto Chow Yifan and his eyes lit up. A player originally from Tiny Herb, wasn't that also a great topic? He hurriedly started to chat with Chow Yifan. Chow Yifan was such an honest person. In an interview, he was quite uneasy, but only said what was true. Chang Xian ended up a little disappointed by what information he had obtained. Though Chow Yifan was from Tiny Herb, his story wasn't that soul-stirring. He was a player who hadn't gotten his contract renewed by a champion team or received any offers from other teams. A person who had been eliminated by the pro circle. In the end, he had found his place in a grassroots team like Happy. This could be described as persistence, but if he really wanted to write about something inspiring, Happy hadn't gotten any real accomplishments yet, so that wasn't really possible. Though there wasn't anything soul-stirring about the contents, he could still write about his identity as a once member of Team Tiny Herb. Chang Xian comforted himself with that before turning his attention to Tang Ru. Her beauty made Chang Xian feel nervous as a budding young man, so he sipped his water and organized his emotions before speaking. Before coming here, I had been wondering what kind of player the Battle Mage Soft Mist was. To be honest, I hadn't expected them to be someone so beautiful. You flatter me, Tang Ru smiled. So, how long have you been familiar with Glory for? Chang Xian asked. If we're talking about just trying out the game, I had fought a few matches before. I only started seriously playing when the 10th server opened, Tang Ru said. You've only played seriously for half a year, Chang Xian was shocked. What was up with Team Happy? If it wasn't a monster from the early days, then it was a newbie from the new server. Were they purposefully trying to walk the extremes? He hadn't managed to digest his shock when Steamed Bun cut in like how Wei Chen had after Yishu's 10 years, interrupting them and further shocking Chang Xian with a, I started in the 10th server, too. You, too, Chang Xian was a little dumbstruck. He suddenly realized that he didn't need to get stories from these members of Team Happy in this interview. Just some background info was good enough to introduce them. How these people started playing Glory, got together, these topics were dull in comparison. Chang Xian knew that no tales of serendipitous meetings that would be more eye-catching than their backgrounds. This was just the beginning. The phrase suddenly surfaced in his mind's eye. No matter what, Team Happy had only gotten to the second round of the Challengers League so far. Though they had defeated the ex-pro Team Everlasting, no one could be certain of how far they would go. There was no need to look into it any further before they established their strength. Just the simple information he had gotten today was enough. May I take a group photo of you all? Chang Xian was satisfied of his gains today after making that realization. He thought that Happy had potential, so he shouldn't try to dig up everything he could get. He should leave for the future, allowing for them to establish a stronger, longer relationship. Chang Xian was learning new things as he went. A group photo? I don't think that's necessary. Some of our members aren't even here today, Yi Shu said. Cold hands and concealed light, right? What Chang Xian had looked into he had looked closely at. That's right, Yi Shu nodded. Then, how about a photo with just the owner? Chang Xian asked. No one here was stupid, they all knew that a topic like Beautiful Boss was a good one, so Chang Xian probably had such plans. Yi Shu wouldn't decide on his own for something like this, looking towards Chen Guo for her decision. Heh, that's fine, take one if you want, Chen Guo didn't mind. The title of Beautiful Boss was something she had in the Happy Internet Cafe too. Chen Guo didn't boast about it or refuse. After all, she really was a beauty. Chapter 830. Temporarily not publishing. Chang Xian had only been in this line of work for a little over a year and hadn't had many chances to do exclusive interviews, but he had taken many photos over the past year, even when he had worked with Cao Guangcheng on an interview. Chang Xian was rather skilled at photography. Chen Guo almost asked for a few copies of the photos he showed her, but she pushed down the urge. She couldn't act like she was completely naive, right? After the photos had been taken, the interview came to a close. Overall, it hadn't taken very long. Chang Xian left after bidding them goodbye. Thinking back to it now, he knew he still lacked experience, which was why he had felt like he didn't know where to start. And he had done so much preparation, too. If it had been Cao Guangcheng instead, he would be able to do much better at interviewing even someone he had met by coincidence and hadn't prepared for. Difference. This was the difference in skill between them. To make a comparison to glory, this was the difference between a rookie and a god. Chang Xian lamented about this the whole way back. "You're back." Cao Guangcheng was sitting in the living room, boredly watching TV. Seeing Chang Xian come in, he first glanced at the clock on the wall. How much time it took to get to Excellent Era was something Cao Guangcheng was very clear of. Happy was across the street from Excellent Era, so the distance was about the same. The time that Chang Xian had used was, if his experience didn't betray him, barely enough to familiarize himself with his targets. "Yeah, I'm back," Chang Xian responded. "Did you get to see Yi Chu?" Cao Guangcheng asked with false nonchalance. He had originally believed that Chang Xian definitely wouldn't get to see Yi Chu, but he started to doubt that after Chang Xian left. Times had changed. Yi Chu was no longer the same Yi Chu that was a part of Excellent Era. He had since left the pro scene. If he had changed his attitude and was now willing to be interviewed, wouldn't that mean Cao Guangcheng had missed a great opportunity? But Cao Guangcheng was a veteran interviewer in the glory circle, he wouldn't lose it for a big interview. So, even if he worried about it internally, he still sat in the room, peacefully waiting for Chang Xian to return. "I didn't." Chang Xian's answer was a huge relief to Cao Guangcheng. Though, if his experience as a veteran reporter was correct, there was no disappointment in Chang Xian's words. That meant that Chang Xian had obtained satisfying results from his interview. "Oh, then what did you manage to get?" Cao Guangcheng didn't bother guessing and asked directly. Team Happy's current captain, the one who applied with Lord Grimm, is named Yi Shu. He's also a 10-year veteran of glory, Chang Xian started to introduce. Yi Shu, Cao Guangcheng was taken aback upon hearing this name. "Yup, Yi Shu. Shu, not Chu," Chang Xian said. "That can't be a coincidence, can it?" Cao Guangcheng had a sharp intuition. He immediately thought that Yi Chu might have changed his name to apply for the Challenger League. But thinking over it again, Yi Chu didn't seem to have any reason to need to change his identity. It wasn't as if he was doing some sort of top-secret mission for the country. What did it matter if his identity was exposed? If it was, he would even be able to draw more attention. Cao Guangcheng had personally interviewed the alliance's representatives, knowing that the year in which a player couldn't return after their retirement was only in regards to the Pro League. There were no similar rules for the Challenger League, since the Challenger League didn't exist when the rules had been made. Even after the Challenger League was created, nothing like this had ever happened, so it was completely ignored. So if it really was Yi Chu, there was no problem with directly participating in the Challenger League under his own name. In addition, if he really wanted to hide his identity, then why did he choose a name that made people think of Yi Chu? And if he used a fake identity, how was he going to deal with the offline matches? He would definitely be exposed there. Thinking of this, a fake name didn't seem reasonable at all. Yi Shu, has he been the player behind Lord Grimm this whole time? What is his relationship with Yi Chu? Cao Guangcheng asked. Chang Xian was stunned upon hearing this. Difference. This was the difference in experience between them. How come he hadn't thought to ask that before? This was a question that definitely should have been asked. Chang Xian became crestfallen upon realizing his mistake. Cao Guangcheng could understand what he was thinking upon seeing his crestfallen look. He didn't say much, he just smiled and said, "Don't worry, take it slow." Speaking seriously, Cao Guangcheng was quite a good senior colleague to have. He often gave Chang Xian many useful tips, and although he had thought that this interview didn't have much value, he didn't stop Chang Xian from going. Even if this interview couldn't be published, going out and trying for himself was a good learning experience for Chang Xian and could give him some experience. Later, when he realized Chang Xian might have the chance to interview Yi Chu, Cao Guangcheng didn't go and try to steal the opportunity from him. Why didn't I think of such an important question? Chang Xian slapped himself on the head. Don't worry about, there'll be many more opportunities in the future for you. Tell me what you managed to find out first, Cao Guangqing said with a smile. A beautiful boss, the strikingly attractive female player Tang Ru. Cao Guangqing dismissed these topics with a smile after hearing them. This was esports, not entertainment, so beauty was only a peripheral advantage, not foundational. You had to have skills to earn achievements and survive in esports. Everything else was just on the side. For a team in the second round of the Challenger League like Happy, there was no reason to pay attention to how good the players looked. Is there anything else? Cao Guangqing asked. If that was it, there was no need to continue. Tang Ru only started playing when the new server was released, Chang Xian said. Oh, this was definitely something much more interesting to Cao Guangqing. Soft Mist was a character that had caught his eye a while back. If she had only started playing upon the launch of the new server, then the ability she had now was rather impressive. Only a person who had skill like that to back them up was worth the attention. Also, Bao Rongxing, Steam Bun Invasion's player, is also a player from the new server, Chang Xian said. Interesting, I didn't realize that Team Happy had such good talents, Cao Guangqing said. They don't only have newbies. Chao Yifan, the player of the Ghostblade, 1-inch Ash, used to be a member of Team Tiny Herb last season. He's a real pro player, Chang Xian said. Team Tiny Herb? Chao Yifan. Cao Guangqing took a moment to process this. Though he was the team reporter for Excellent Era, he wasn't clueless about the other teams. In fact, he was much more familiar with them than normal players and spectators were. He did rely on this to put food on the table after all. But this Chao Yifan. Cao Guangqing thought back through what he knew and vaguely had an impression of him. Using the process of elimination, he realized it might be the kid that joined Tiny Herb with Gao Yingji. Tiny Herb didn't renew his contract and he didn't receive any offers from other teams, so he joined Team Happy, Chang Xian said. So it's like that, Cao Guangqing nodded. Pro players like that weren't very rare, but it was rare for one from a champion team like Tiny Herb to have fallen to joining a grassroots team. Even if they had to join a team in the Challenger League, they would usually find a place in a team like Everlasting. There's another person, called Wei Chen. He's apparently the ex-captain of Team Blue Rain and, Wei Chen? Chang Xian was about to say he didn't know much about this person, but then Cao Guangqing actually jumped out of his seat. He was an old reporter, so how could he not know who Wei Chen was? This was about a god from the first generation of Glory players. Starting with him, Team Blue Rain's current captain Yu Wenzhou was the third successor of Swaksar. Why would an old god like him, who had left the Glory Circle for so long, suddenly return to participate in the Challenger League? Cao Guangqing was pretty sure he had met Wei Chen before. It was just that it was too long ago, so he only had a vague idea of what Wei Chen was like. At that time, esports home wasn't comparable to other sports media like the way it was today. It was Glory that pushed the development of esports to higher heights, allowing esports home to grow into the corporate giant that it was today. The name Wei Chen really brought back memories. This Team Happy is very interesting, Cao Guangqing nodded. Yeah, so I thought we could pay more attention to them in the future, Chang Xian said. Yeah, you should follow them, Cao Guangqing said. Then, I'll go and organize the content for this, Chang Xian said. There's no need to rush it. Just take it slow, Cao Guangqing said. Oh yeah, Chang Xian slapped his own forehead, it's only Saturday. I have over a day to do this. Esports Home's weekly papers came out every Monday and Friday. Since the Glory match days were usually held every Saturday, the reporters were used to organizing their information into drafts on Sunday, and Chang Xian had gone to interview a team from the Challenger League, which had its matches on Friday, leaving him with 2 days' time to finish his article. You have plenty of time, don't worry. The paper on Monday wouldn't possibly publish your interview, Cao Guangqing said. Why? Chang Xian was startled. Because the match isn't over, Cao Guangqing said. Ah. Do you think, with 100% certainty, that Team Everlasting can't turn the tides in the second round? Cao Guangqing asked. Well, only by completely claiming victory can Happy earn a place in the article for the Challenger League. For this issue, one sentence about Team Happy's victory over Everlasting is the most you'll be able to get, Cao Guangqing said with certainty. In the second round of the Challenger League, Team Everlasting took a huge blow. Facing off against the recently popular Team Happy, they lost 8.5 to 1.5 on their home field. Their future in the Challenger League has become clouded. Team Everlasting began a close training session after the match, planning on wiping away this shame in the second round. Chen Guo flipped through the Monday issue of Esports Home, but didn't find any other mention of Team Happy, and this article even had Everlasting as the main character. Chen Guo was confused. "Where's our interview?" Chen Guo began to suspect that her paper was missing pages. "If we defeat Everlasting in this round, then it'll appear." Yi Shu understood the mechanics behind this.